Welcome back to Implicit Biases. We are hospitably welcoming you back into the Top Secret Podcast layer. I'm your host, Kavan Bordelon, as we bring you hour one of this week's episode. Man, we are hoping to bring you an absolutely fantastic time in the TSPL, presented to you by Mr. Lester Steakhouse. Let me introduce you to the crew. Across from me, sitting in the lone chair, he is the rustic renegade, Caleb Morse. At the bar, we have Grant Galatas, otherwise known as K&B, and we have Sage Bro of USCCA, which we'll talk about why that's important in just a few minutes. We're going to dive into the story, the gift that keeps on giving on this particular Thursday, because we want to be hospitable to you, because guess what? Ain't no party like a Diddy party. And apparently that is what has been going on. And man, that story, it is hospitable because he apparently welcomed everybody in.
That was well said. That was a good lead in.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Although I don't know if it was good or if he's just sick.
I mean, it's not good for us. It's sick as all get out. And I like how you said he welcomed everybody, because there is an eclectic blend of people that were invited.
Allegedly.
That were invited. And I'm curious if they were invited or if they were like, "Yo, Diddy."
They might have been.
You like that?
That is the laugh of the Implicit Bias pledge. He's better off dead. And we'll just leave it at that. Walker Griffon is here with us. You heard his laugh in the background. Okay, so let's start here, because an alleged list of people in Diddler videos has hit the internet. It's out there. It's on X. I don't know.
It's probably on Triple X too.
It might be. That's very well played. But yeah, ring the bell. That's well played. We're not going to touch on those names. What I will say is this. It is everyone that we have previously hypothesized here in the Top Secret Podcast layer that would be there.
I was surprised by a couple of those names.
I was surprised by a couple as well. But
the vast majority of them, like, you can look at that person and tell that they don't think the same way we think.
Well, let's be honest. When you're on the internet saying ain't no party like a Diddy party, guess what? You're probably on the Diddy list.
There's a good chance. Good chance.
Just saying. Yeah, that name's there. What I believe is perhaps more giving with regards to this, and please go look this up. We'll maybe try and drop in the headline as we link this. Man, there is an attorney out of Texas who apparently is running a class action lawsuit for not 5 people, not 10 people. I mean, I would think 20 to 25 people might be a lot. Yeah, it's not close. I mean, if we're talking 50 to 75 people, I mean, really? Try 120 people. 120 people. That is past the century mark. And here's the bigger concern for me, is that the allegation by this attorney, who said he will leak names, they are ready to release names, is twofold. Number one, they are going to sue more than just Diddy. They are going to sue banks. They are going to sue corporate entities. They are going after big names. So it's not just the P. Dangler that's going to be on this particular class action lawsuit. The second part is he's alleging that some people who are part of this, that were victims of Puff Daddy, whatever he calls himself, were as young as 9 when this happened. So I'm curious as to thoughts here. Does this surprise anyone?
It doesn't surprise me, but it still pains me to hear it, you know, and as Christians, as followers of Christ, and as lovers of God, we're supposed to be forgiving. Man, it's really hard to forgive somebody who hurts an innocent child. It's really hard to forgive somebody that ruins and scars a soul like that for eternity. That's a tough one.
Let's go to the bar. Thoughts?
How do you live with yourself at this point? I mean, you have a lot of people who went into this knowingly and willingly, and they participated. They knew of it. Anyone for, what is it, 2 decades? Close to that this has gone on?
2.
Okay.
I mean, you got to think. So what? Tupac and Biggie hit in the 90s.
Yeah, let's put it this way.
Puff Daddy was
long.
known as a big guy in the early 90s. We're talking 30 years.
But if you know the depths of this depravity and you know there are children involved in this, and you go and you live your comfortable lifestyle and you leave a party like this and you just allow this to go on for as long as it did without bringing it to someone's attention for whatever reason, out of fear of being blacklisted, out of fear of being canceled, whatever your rationale is for this, there were so many people who knew that this was going on, and you finally wait until law enforcement steps in before you say, oh yeah, this was tragic.
So
it's because now they're trying to strike a deal. That's all it is.
Well, and I think
But
maybe
so many people knew this. So you're just as complicit. If you
Oh.
knew this travesty of humanity was going on and you said not a word, shame on you. That's between you and God.
So
He'll
complicit,
take care of it for us.
Complicit, I think, is a whole nother part of this, because we were talking about Cat Williams, and Cat Williams has made he has made no bones about what he has been offered, pun intended. Apparently, he was offered $50 million. He claims several times to go hang with the Puffy Diddy, right?
I don't think Diddy wanted to hang. I think he wanted to
Well,
lie.
yeah. Well, you never know.
Yeah, I don't
you
know.
never know. Asphyxiation's a thing for some people.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. My point is, he claims he was offered $50 million 4 times. And we were making the joke about, man, what would you do if you were offered $50 million? There's a lot of people who do a lot of things for $50 million. But here's the problem. The problem isn't what would you do for $50 million. The problem is, what would they have video of you doing for $50 million? Now, all of a sudden, if you turn someone in, take a guess who you're turning in. You're turning yourself in too. That is a whole different dynamic for a lot of people.
Well, and for these people, and because it's not this person, it's these people.
Correct.
It's about the power, right? So they're not paying you for the act. They're paying you for the power to have over you. And you are giving them an infinite amount of power over you, your life, everything else. And if you love your family, there is no price. If you love your God, there is no price. If you love yourself, there is no price. The people that they're going after, they are manipulating them and weakening them to a point where the price is what they want it to be.
Well, those people are purchasable, is your point. You are now for sale, which Cat Williams, not for sale, according to him. And I get it. And I hope that is exactly the case. I agree. Good for him. But apparently all these other people, some were for sale, some were purchasable. Their silence was purchasable. And now, actually, somebody mentioned today that they're finding tunnels underneath Diddy homes and mansions. But I mean, look, the allegations of there being tunnels underneath the Playboy Mansion forever. Yeah. So, number one, don't think this is new. This is not new. The operation never shut down when the Playboy Mansion shut down. It just moved across the country. It went from LA to Miami.
And I don't think it's that it moved that time either. It just, they shut down that site and transferred to another location. And this is going to go way deeper than where we are now. We had Epstein Island, we have this. There are more people involved with all these things than we realize.
Well, now we also have Garth Brooks being accused of something close to this. Garth Brooks, there's a lawsuit filed. This has also hit the internet the day that we're recording this episode, that Garth Brooks, who this allegation has kind of been out there for a while, but now it's officially a lawsuit, has been filed claiming him or claiming that he forced himself on a makeup artist in a hotel room. And you have to start to wonder, what is the power trip, right? There's a sermon, a homily that was given that still has resonated with me and does every day. And it talks about the 4 P's that are the downfall of man: pleasure, possessions, prestige, and power. This hits multiples. It turns people into possessions. It creates prestige because you're special, and it gives you power through what? While gaining your own pleasure. This is all 4 of these things all at the same time. And that is what's really tough about this. That is what is really tough about this. Oh, I thought you were going to ring the bell, Grant. I thought I said something good. Purveyor of the bell over there.
Belated ring. I'm just insanely curious to see how this plays out, because we had a very similar situation with Epstein, where we were promised a list. We were said, who was going to be implicated, who was going to be on the list, all of this, and it just sort of fizzled out. You never really did get a good Epstein list out of this.
Well,
look, and from so many angles, when I was talking with my son, I was like, okay, the clock on this young man's life is old man now. The clock on his life has just started ticking.
I don't think it's fizzled out. I think it was buried deep. And that's what they're going to try to do to everything else, is they're going to try to bury everything as deep as they possibly can.
What's the crossover? You think there's a lot of the same actors involved?
These
in this?
people run in the same circles.
So
if you have,
what would be the difference?
one of these things, you have another.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna
same network.
I'm gonna give you two things, and we talked about this on the show. Number one, Megyn Kelly, not too long ago, came out and said, I believe we will hear again from Jeffrey Epstein that he is not dead. Now, this is really interesting coming from someone with the reporting gravitas of Megyn Kelly. I'm not saying she's right. I'm not saying we know, but she claims that maybe he was witness protectioned to get him out of the limelight, which we've seen WITSEC do crazy things like this in the past to make people think and disappear, make people think that they were gone. That's number one. Here's the bigger question I have. How do you think they started the Diddy investigation? Did the Epstein investigation
Was it the catalyst?
lead them to the Diddy investigation? I just have to wonder. I have nothing that says it's connected. This is for entertainment purposes only. But as you start to see these names get connected, you start to have us through the conversation of things like Pizzagate and all the things that have come to light. Because look, they will tell you, oh, all of this is conspiracy theory. It's all made up. And guess what? Now we're starting to find out, and these are allegations from an attorney right now who's looking for money, so we're going to take that for what it's worth. But man, the allegations of children being involved again and again and again and again and again is sickening. It is something that needs to be stopped. And at some point you go, is there just so much smoke that there has to be fire somewhere? You ever watch a tree burn from the inside? All you see is smoke. You don't actually see the flame. That to me is what this looks like. That is where this lies. And it's why I go, man, look, the alleged list of people who are in videos are out there. And again, we hypothesized on this show about who might be involved. And it's all the big names that you would expect. It's every single one of them.
What's funny is some of these people are actually on TV making fun of Pizzagate, passing out pizza.
And there's the really interesting part. You know what else is interesting? That the guy who's an hour late is telling us that we got to stop for this episode. Well, not for the episode, but for this segment. He's giving me the finger from the corner. I'm going to give him the finger back. We're on video, so I'm not actually going to give him the finger, but he knows what I'm thinking. He knows what I'm thinking. You know what else I'm thinking? I'm thinking you should stick around for the final segment of hour one of this week's episode of Implicit Bias.